All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharon McKinley, and I am the Senior Consultant with the NRC for In-Home Services, which is funded through the Department of Health and Human Services Children's Bureau. And on behalf of the NRC for In-Home Services, I would like to welcome you to the Promoting Safe and Stable Families Peer Learning Call. Today's topic is on creating strong cross-systems collaboration. And we have with us today that will be giving us some information about what they're doing. We have Ashley K. Harding from NICWA, Linda Love, she's the Director of Catawba Indian Nation Social Services, and we will have joining us Tracy Pacini. She's the Program Director of Seneca Nation of Indians, Child and Family Services. But before we get started this afternoon, I would like to first, we have a special guest from the Children's Bureau, Jane Morgan, who would like to provide us a little announcement. Jane, if you're on the call.
Sharon, I'm here.
Okay. All right, Jane, you want to give your announcement?
Okay, thank you, Sharon. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on the call for just a few minutes today to share some information with you about what our future of training and technical assistance is going to be with the Children's Bureau. And to talk about that, I wanted to just say that 5 years ago when we funded the National Resource Center for In-Home Services, one of our goals was to really create a more connection between the PSSF administrators at states and tribes to create a peer relationship across the country, because we felt like that was a really important component of furthering the work that you are all doing. And we really are pleased with all of the work that the National Resource Center for In-Home Services has done, and are really proud of the connections that have been made through this peer-to-peer calls that you have, and the connections that have been created through this work. But with that said, the Children's Bureau is at a point that we are have made a determination that we are restructuring our training and technical assistance. You may know that for many decades, the Children's Bureau has funded a whole network of training and technical assistance projects that have been designed to build the capacity of states and tribes and territories to meet federal standards and requirements, to improve child welfare practice and administration, and to improve the outcomes for children, youth, and families. And for many years, we have funded national resource centers who provide topical expertise and support different programmatic areas like PSSF programs. And that's where the NRC for In-Home Services was funded 5 years ago. But I wanted to really come on the call just briefly to just reassure you that we believe this work is important, and as we move forward with our new structure, it is our intent to have the capacity. We have built in the capacity in the new structure to continue to provide support for the PSSF administrators, both at the states and tribes, so that they can have this continued peer-to-peer opportunity to work together. With that said, we are funding 3 new national centers. The first is called the National Capacity Building Center for Public Child Welfare Agencies, and that'll be the focal point for child welfare expertise and training and technical assistance for states and territories for public child welfare agencies. In addition to that, we're funding the National Child Welfare Capacity Building Center for Tribes, and they will provide coordinated and culturally competent training and technical assistance to 4B and 4E programs in American Indian and Alaska Native nations. And then the third center we're funding is the National Center for Legal and Judicial Excellence in Child Welfare, and they will serve as the primary technical assistance provider for training and technical assistance to states and tribal court improvement programs. So that is the basic new structure that we will be implementing after October 1st. And as I said, within that structure, within the National Capacity Building Center for Public Child Welfare Agencies, we will have the capacity to continue to support the peer-to-peer work that goes on between the PSSF managers. We aren't at the point where we can make the announcement of who the new grantees and contracts are, but after October, we have your listserv, and we will be communicating with you from the Children's Bureau. I know you've worked with Catherine Heath and Rashonda Shoulders, and they'll continue to be involved in supporting your programs, and we'll be in touch as soon as we are able to make connections with you and let you know how the peer-to-peer work is going to continue to go forward for PSSF managers. So Sharon, and I just want to again thank the National Resource Center for In-Home Services. We are very pleased with the work that they have done. The move to this new structure is certainly no reflection on the good work that they have done. And I just want to thank Sharon and Lisa and the whole team at the In-Home Services for the work that they've done over these past 5 years.
And thank you, Jane. And if she'll be on the call, just for those who might not heard, if you're coming in, if you want to make the announcement again at the end, that will, that'll be fine as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So, having said that, as you know, this is our last call for the fiscal year, and hopefully there will be some more coming in the coming year with the new capacity building team that will be coming on. But today we have on our call, as I mentioned before, Ashley K. Harding. She's with NICWA. And then Linda Love, she's the Director of Catawba Indian Nation of Social Services. And hopefully right now we don't have Tracy on the line, but she'll be joining us shortly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this over to Ashley K. Harding, and take it away.
Good morning. Sharon, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Ashley Harding. I'm going to be talking about the cross-systems collaboration and the work that the National Indian Child Welfare Association, also known as NICWA, does, and how we engage tribal and non-tribal communities in the cross-systems collaboration approach. So go ahead to the next slide, please.
Okay. So this is my clicker. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go.
Oh, next slide, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
So as an overview of the presentation today, I'll be sharing how NICWA utilizes a theory of change model that helps to guide and shape the work that we do, as well as utilizing a systems of care approach in shaping cross-systems collaboration, while also providing some examples about how we promote effective systems change with tribal communities and non-tribal communities across the nation. So next slide. One of the models that we use is called the systems change or theory of change approach, a systems change model. And then this model showcases the 5 key elements to systems change, and it encourages cross-systems collaboration. So as you'll see on this slide, we have the areas of leadership and commitment, stakeholder involvement, capacity, infrastructure, environment, and vision and values. The 5 key elements are really essential to achieve meaningful, lasting systems change through each of those 5 components. The process behind implementing systems change, it requires that we assess the systems change or the system strengths and needs regarding each of the elements, while also aligning the organizational culture, aligning those policies and practices and resources across each of the 5 elements within the systems change model. It's also looking at how we strategically in each of these areas promote and effect change. So when we look at the leadership and commitment element, we're looking at how leaders must be committed to establishing a vision for change. So creating that sense of urgency, prioritizing that urgency of what that system is trying to change, while also looking at how we create buy-in, how we identify those champions within our communities to promote change at all levels of the system, and how we sustain that change as we're looking at and promoting the systems change components. Within the stakeholder involvement, this is really looking at the aspect of ensuring that we are engaging our stakeholders at every single level. So that doesn't only include our internal and external stakeholders of our managers, our supervisors, our schools, our courts, mental health, juvenile justice. It's also looking at how we're engaging caregivers or care providers within that system, how we're engaging families and youth and young people to be effective in this systems change effort. We're also looking at how we also culturally respond to, or are culturally responsive to the requests that are being made by our communities that we are approaching. One of the efforts that takes place to not only promote systems change but also to promote cross-systems collaboration is looking at opportunities that promote peer-to-peer learning, or opportunities to learn from stakeholders, to engage them in other systems and so forth. And so there's a collaborative approach that takes place with the stakeholders to ensure that voices are heard at all levels, but that voices from all levels are also included. When we look at the capacity and infrastructure element, we're looking at the interagency agreements that are in place to support collaboration and shared accountability. So what this means is, how do we create the capacity and the infrastructure within our current organizations or agencies to be able to promote systems change, to be able to enhance our systems collaboration or cross-systems collaboration in the work that we're currently doing. This could be identified, through technical assistance and training, but basically identifying the necessary supports that our organizations or communities need to be able to fulfill that capacity or to be able to have a well-balanced infrastructure to be able to carry out the work. When we look at the environment within the systems change model, this is looking at community readiness but also political will, and looking at the acceptance of how the need is identified for change, or if the community is ready for that change. But in addition to looking at the environment, it's also looking at an organizational culture that promotes open communication and problem solving. So that's what's taking place in the environment, is getting it from a place that might be not well balanced or unhealthy to an area where there is capacity and ability to have open communication and dialogue, and to talk about what that systems collaboration is going to look like, how effective it's going to be, and working through some of the kinks and the problems that could potentially be taking place within a particular agency or community. When it comes to the vision and values, there's a consensus amongst all of the entities that are involved. When you're looking at leadership and the stakeholders that are involved, there's a consensus on the vision for change among everybody. There's a shared understanding of what those values and principles are that provide a framework for that systems change, but also those visions and the values are communicated consistently across all program areas and among all levels of staff, stakeholders, and the public. So ensuring, again, as we look at the aspect of cross-systems collaboration, ensuring that all entities that are involved are well incorporated within the systems change component, and that everybody has a role in what that systems change or that cross-systems collaboration looks like. One of the other points that I wanted to make about the systems change model, as you'll see from the diagram that is on the slide, is that it's not a linear process. So it's really important to note that at any point in given time that these different entities are working interchangeably together, they're overlapping, and again, that it's not a linear process. However, it's more of an interconnected way of working together within systems. And as you look at this, again, each element is influenced by the other elements, which is creating change in one element while it's impacting, most likely impacting the other elements that are surrounded by it. So this is one of the models that NICWA uses as we go out to different communities, tribal and non-tribal, to talk about systems change, but also more importantly to talk about how systems work together for the betterment of families. Next slide. So as we hold the systems change model in our mind, which is a big picture approach to addressing systems change and cross-system collaboration, we also have to think about the impact it has on our families and other service providers. So in this slide, it indicates on your screen you have the diagram that is the traditional kinship structure within many of our tribal communities. This is a model that we utilize within our tribal in-home services model and within many of the tribes that we work with. So as you'll see in the diagram, the child is central to the structure, to that traditional kinship structure. And all entities that surround that child are the providers, they're the protectors, they're the nurturers, they're the guides, they're the mentors. They love that child and they care for that child. This traditional structure provides that holistic approach to caring for families and children. This is traditionally and currently for many of our tribal communities the structure that exists in how we care for kids. When you look on the other side, we have the systems of care model or approach that is essentially functioning as the same as the kinship structure. However, as you'll look at it, there's 8 different elements that are around the system of care model. That's all primarily service providers and agencies, as well as tribes and cultural resources that are within the system of care model. And so as we look at the system of care model, it's service providers alongside the family and the child that are also providing some of those same protections, or should be providing some of those same protections as the traditional kinship structure. So those protections of support and guidance, helping individuals to identify what they need within their life to be able to be successful. It's also a very holistic approach to providing that care and support and services to families and children. And so when we're talking about cross-systems collaboration, whether we're looking at the traditional kinship structure that our tribal communities function from and that care and support, or we're looking at the systems of care model and that approach, all entities around each of the models should be working together collaboratively, should be communicating in a good way, and there should be a balance in what is being provided and providing that support and guidance to the family within each of these different models. And if you can just tab one more time, Sharon, there's a little thing that pops up. So when we're talking about the traditional kinship structure, or we're talking about the systems of care, it's this aspect that if our children and our families are getting the services that they need, there should be better outcomes for them. So the quote at the bottom comes from a lot of the curricula that we use, is that children receive better outcomes when the adults in their lives work together. So again, whether that is coming from the traditional kinship structure or our system of care approach, it only benefits our children when we as adults are working together and collaborating and communicating respectfully to create a better environment for them, but also better outcomes for the families and in conjunction with the families. And I think that's it, Sharon.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
Ashley Kay. And now, Linda, love, if you have muted yourself, you can unmute yourself now. Linda, fix your phone if you muted yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, because I did mute it, and sure enough, somebody did come in.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me, Sharon?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you very good.
Great. Ashley, I enjoyed that. I love the way you had that presentation with the graphs, and I think what I'm trying to do the same thing. So you know a little bit about who I am. Sharon, if you would go to the next slide, and I'll get started. We have a lot of challenges here at Catawba, and collaboration is hard because the state still, the relationship we're trying to build with the state has been a difficult one, but I think that we're making a lot of strides. But we are rural, and we are located on the far eastern side of York County, but now tribal members live some of everywhere, various states. But for the most part, the reservation is here. And like most communities, we're faced with some of the same issues, substance abuse, domestic violence, that's in that fifth point there, low to moderate incomes. And South Carolina was just named the ninth for poverty, so we know that our challenges are going to be even greater for the tribe. Next slide. Okay. So we are proud that we're still here near the river, and that allows for some cultural involvement, and especially when we work with the counties on removing kids, we try to, hit home that the Catawba River is their namesake, and that they could, if nothing else, the kids need to take walks along the river or near the river. So you can keep going, and maybe I can get to more of what we're doing to collaborate. That slide just tells you some of the services we've been able to achieve here at the nation. And I must say that social services has a strong relationship with all the other departments. So we do a lot of interdepartmental collaboration that helps us, especially with transportation, job placement, and housing. I've been working real close with housing on some people who need 24-hour care. So, but again, our goal today is to talk about how we collaborate with the state. So we would go on. Again, that's some of the services we provide, and we do a lot of Little People's Academy. We pay some tuition fees so that moms can go to work. I do some Head Start presentations on what is child abuse and neglect, and mandated reporters. Indian Health Services, we start having a community meeting with the community health nurse so we can identify some things that the tribe can benefit from that are preventive. And I've been doing co-visits with the community health nurse, and that's been real helpful. Next slide, please. Again, that's our staff. I'm very proud to have these young ladies working with us. Next slide, please. Now, this is where we are trying to do more collaboration. We decided we need to do weekly visits with our families, and we call that intensive home visiting. We try to go out with the county because we don't have a tribal courts. So the state still has a lot of jurisdiction when it comes to removing our kids, substantiating abuse and neglect. So we try to keep a good relationship with the counties so that they'll call us right away, so we'll be able to track a child and go out and do visits, because we can tell them some cultural things that may be going on, and then the tribal members just feel better when we're there. So we maintain weekly contact because we don't want to lose that family member, or to make sure they're getting the support that they need to get to mental health or any counseling or substance abuse programs that they need. Now, our VAWA counselor does the sexual assault, domestic violence, and stalking. And believe it or not, she has more for sexual assault and stalking than the DV. So you all can stop me, or I can take questions at the end. We put a lot of our clients in our emergency refuge, It was not up and running for a while, but now it is. And I sit on a state planning board for domestic violence, and I go into their meetings to talk about funding and ways to improve the refuge as well as the VAWA counseling. So I think that contact with the case managers is important, and I'll talk some more near the end on how I was able to establish those relationships further. The next slide, please. And I've already said how we assist with the visits. Now, the memorandum of understanding with the state, I think that I was just lucky in that the person that set the memorandum had work experience with other tribes, and she knew the value of it. So when she opened the door to set up the MOU, I accepted it right away. And we are getting ready we update it, and the attorney reviews it. But the main thing is that they're going to contact us during that initial visit period. I've also been able to get with the state. I get a printout of all their kids that they take into care, and they have a portion of it just for Native Americans. So I can see any Native American child from any different tribe that's in South Carolina and in care. And I've been trying to contact any social services with the other tribes to let them know you have a child that's in custody or the state has an open case on them. The state collaboration is important because, like I said, we don't have the courts. But our tribal members, they are a vital part of the community. They like being out in the community more so than on the reservation. So I go to treatment team meetings, or I send the staff out to treatment team meetings. Foster care review boards. We go to planning meetings at Keystone, and I also have a memorandum of understanding with our substance abuse center, which is Keystone. The workers use our conference room to do the family meetings, and then I offer the conference room, like if they have to do a meeting with us and need to stay and do paperwork, or if they want to come early, I try to have an open door policy where they'll feel comfortable and a part of this unit. Next slide. There again, you can see some of the local collaborations because the tribe is small. We have to rely on the community for these services. We talked about Keystone, and they do the assessment on the client. And matter of fact, I've had 2 this morning we talked about. One is going in for 12 weeks treatment, the other for 24 weeks treatment. But I can, with the confidentiality form signed, I can call and get an update. They come to our court hearings and will testify. They have a good women's program where they bring the kids in, a day treatment, and the kids can be part of it. They have a residential in York where if the mom has a substance abuse issue and no criminal background, we can send the mom and the child there. We're very pleased to have that relationship. Safe Passages, that is our domestic violence shelter and sexual assault. We sit in on their treatment teams when we have a case there. I'm also going to do a presentation for the statewide domestic violence conference. That director, myself, will do a co-presentation on how we collaborate. 3 Trees, we send clients there for parenting, anger management. Piedmont Psychiatric, they let us come on the unit to visit the client. They will share, with the consent, they share information. They will listen when I'll give input on an assessment, why that person needs to be admitted. York Place is the one I was talking about, substance abuse. I kind of jumped the gun there. Shelter, Salvation Army, Carolina Community Actions. Now, Salvation Army helped us with our angel tree. They helped us get extra Christmas items. Also, they know that we are limited on our in-kind necessity closet, and I've made them aware of it so they won't think anyone is abusing it, and the clients are sent there when they've used up, when we don't have the resources here. Carolina Community Action does LaHeap, and our relationship, collaboration with them is such, they come to us about once every 2 months. I put them in a room where there's a copier, and they bring the clients back, complete the application. So that's an excellent collaboration for heating and then air in the summer for our tribal members. Okay, next slide. Again, United Way is part of, well, we do our in-kind closet with United Way out of Spartanburg. We pay a membership fee, and we go shop at the Walmart warehouse. We're able to get things when families have been displaced, pots and pans, blankets, sheets, even paper, small items, big items. And so although we pay a fee, we still try to keep that one-on-one personal relationship with them. Plato's Closet is a new relationship in the community. They give us some leftover clothing that they don't use. Hope House is like Salvation Army, just kind of a word of mouth. We're sending so-and-so because we don't have anything this month. The Rock, they do homeless job placement. We go in there just to visit, keep our faces out there. And our emergency preparedness training, that got kicked off by social services because 4B said we needed emergency evacuation plans. So now we have a full-fledged Red Cross training, and most of us, when they're working on the evacuation plan. Children's Attention Homes, we just have to let people know that the tribal people are human and Americans and deserve just as much as anybody else. So I do a lot of cultural sensitivity trainings just to minimize any myths or stereotypes. So now we've had kids admitted to the attention home. The good part about that, they didn't have to go to DJJ, to the jail down the road, and they're keeping them there until we worked out some satisfactory things with the parents. They've been there almost a year. The Children's Law Center, that's with the university, and they did a big NICWA summit back in June, end of June, and they're going to offer some more training for case managers to know how to work closer with the tribal children. Next slide. Okay. I don't know if, Sharon, do you want me to go over that? Because that's more in-house what we do.
If you want to go through it real quick, that's fine.
Okay, reunification strategies. You know, we can collaborate with the county, but we had to find a succinct way to know what who the client is. So we put a lot of time into our assessment and intake, gathering the history, so we'll know how we're going to refer, who we're going to refer to. And of course, the client, it's basic social work here. They are involved in that case plan. Plus, we have to include any plans from, say, substance abuse or sexual assault center. Then we try to tell them that it's okay to go to these entities, and we may go with them a couple of times. We review the case plans, doing those weekly visits. We help them set up appointments. Arranging transportation, I think, is the big piece in setting up appointments. And again, we supervise visitations. We have a visitation room here, and the case manager, or the NICWA worker will pick the child up, bring them in, and they meet pertinent family members here. So next slide, please. Again, we have to ensure NICWA guidelines. I won't go too much over that. That's all inclusive in our assessment, what they need, identifying what they need. So that's basically it. Everybody say I knew a lot of people, but I think it's just, again, good basic social work, knowing what your client needs, being willing to make that phone call to set up the collaboration, opening your doors as well as accepting the doors that are open to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
I just want to check to see if anyone have any questions, any comments, or if they would like to also share what they might be doing in their state or in their tribal organization. And if you mute yourself, you can unmute yourself by doing *6. All righty. Well, our next presenter, I don't think she is on. I don't know what happened to her. Tracy, are you on the line?
I am.
Okay, good. It's not like, I don't know if she's on the line or not. All right, so our next presenter is Tracy Fassini, and she's with the Seneca Nation, and so she's going to tell us what they are doing in their multidisciplinary team. Okay? Can you see the screen?
I can.
Okay.
I guess what's unique about the Seneca Nation of Indians is that it's one nation divided into 2 territories that resides in 3 counties. So that's kind of like what prompted our collaboration, because we are currently working with 3 counties. That would be Cattaraugus County, Chautauqua County, and Erie County. Next slide. This is kind of explains that we're one nation divided into 2 territories that resides in 3 counties. Most of the Allegheny Reservation, well, all of the Allegheny Reservation is on Cattaraugus County. The Cattaraugus Reservation is mostly on Erie County, but a small portion of it sits in Chautauqua County. Next slide. I know what's kind of unique about New York State is that most of the Department of Social Services is state-run and county administered. So all of our agreements and work is with the local counties instead of the state itself. And it also enables us to have some good sound intervention for children and the families, as well as to share safety issues or concerns with the family. Next slide. The benefits of the our collaboration is that it kind of helps with the program being culturally sensitive, and it helps with our relationship building with the counties and other agencies that we refer our families to. There's an understanding of roles. When we introduce ourselves to our family, anytime there's a CPS call on territory, the Seneca Nation Child and Family Services is notified, and one of the case managers goes into the home during the first initial interview and the start of the investigation and all follow-up interviews with the family and the children. And when we're in the home, we introduce ourselves. CPS explains the role, and Child and Family Services explains our role to the families. And it helps us have that understanding of roles. With the written protocol, it's consistency due to the protocol. In the CPS workforce, in that department, there is a high rate of turnover with CPS workers and also with supervisors. And the CPS protocol helps enable some of that consistency. With the way that the counties have it set up, well, 2 of the counties, not one of the counties, but they have what is called res teams, and which is the same 5 workers are assigned all the cases on territory, and that kind of helps with consistency with our families. So we're not having different CPS workers, and then they're all familiar with the cultural sensitive piece. When they start, we have a new CPS worker orientation that we go through cultural sensitivity, introduce them to the office, just like give them a complete orientation of our program. And introduce them to all our staff. It helps with the involvement of other partners. When the CPS protocol was put together, it was joint effort between all 3 county commissioners, the Seneca Nation of Indian Social Services Commissioner, as well as members of the Native American Office of Children and Family Services, which is through the state, but there was a lot of partners involved. And it also helps ensure the safety of the workers. I know there's a lot of concern about workers themselves going out individually, but this is always, they're always paired up. There's always somebody from the Seneca Nation, and there's always somebody from the county. Next slide. I did attach a copy of the protocol, but
Okay.
that's in a separate thing.
Do you want me to show that?
Not right now.
Okay.
Just a few more slides to go to. With the development of the protocol, it kind of took a year and a half to develop because it had to be reviewed by all legal requirements and regulations, not only through the Department of Social Services, the CPS, the Child Protective Services, but also the Seneca Nation of Indians as well. There was a lot of cross-training and endorsements from the commissioners and the protocol training itself. Although there's 3 counties named on our protocol, Cattaraugus, Erie, and Chautauqua County. Chautauqua County, and it's possibly because there's such a small piece of the territory in Chautauqua County, they've always kind of come in and faded in and out throughout the years. Currently they're in, and we've been working well together. I think that always changes when there's a new supervisor, that comes on. And I think the whole protocol and things kind of frightened them. And when we kind of explained it was in writing and the Chautauqua County Commissioner was involved, that kind of helps with the relationship. Next slide. I know it says review of the protocol, but that's a different, I'm not sure if you can bring that up because that's not a PowerPoint.
No, but I did bring it. I did. Hold on. Pull it out. Okay. If everyone can see this. Okay.
Okay. We are currently working on updating this because of the last draft was created in 2006. Throughout the process, we always agreed that it'd be a working draft, so changes could be made easily and in collaboration with all of the county commissioners as well as the Seneca Nation of Indians. One thing that the protocol does is it enables the Department of Social Services and Child and Family Services to freely share information. We still use releases of information when we contact the family and start working with them, but it enables them to share all of the case information with us and us to talk freely. And there it kind of explains the roles of the Child Protective Services worker, which is to do the investigation, the roles of Child and Family Services, which is to advocate for the family and offer services. The only direct services that Child and Family Services offered is parenting, supervised visitation, and last resort transportation to professional appointments. Within the protocol, it binds us, both agencies, to confidentiality. There's other departments involved, such as the Seneca Nation Marshals Department. It's kind of like our law enforcement, but they're not really law enforcement. They're more like peacekeepers. But if there's a safety issue, it enables us to involve them and have them go to the home with us during the initial interview or any follow-up. The Seneca Nation of Indians does have its own peacemakers court, but they can only hear civil matters. So in the cases that there are neglect charges being brought up against the family, Child and Family Services and peacemakers can keep the child custody and placement portion of it, and those charges will be heard in the county. But we have that good working relationship where we can still talk with the case managers and help plan for that. And just with the judges, they will ask us if we're going to take jurisdiction of the children and the placement. That can only happen if we have a foster family available, which 98% of the time we do. The Seneca Nation of Indians doesn't currently have any therapeutic placement, but we're working on that. So if a child is in need of therapeutic placement, the county has to retain jurisdiction. But Child and Family Services is still involved. We attend all of the meetings, that is involved with the case, whether it be service plan review, any service of the multidisciplinary team meetings, and we still work with the family and the children. That kind of gives us extra eyes on the children, because not only is the county in the home of watching the case, but also the Seneca Nation of Indians is too. Sometimes we do our home visits together, sometimes not. Sometimes the county will go, and sometimes the Seneca Nation will go as well at different times. Okay.
Want me to go back to the PowerPoint?
Yes. The lessons learned from this is just the relationship building. Anytime there's new commissioners or new staff involved with any of the Child Protective Services or even Child and Family, we feel it's very important to do introductions and orientation and just have the workers get familiar with all of the services. With our new social services commissioner now, I know she wants to review the protocol at least once a year. The last time it was reviewed was in 2006. And it's one of those things where you really haven't had any problems, so we're just not going to kick the sleeping dog, but it is also important to review it once a year to make sure that nothing is outdated. With that, so that process has begun. We did have a meeting 2 weeks ago, and all of the county commissioners were there, as well as the Seneca Nation Social Services commissioner, a lot of the Child Protective Services supervisors, the Chief Marshal from the Allegheny Territory, the Chief Marshal from the Cattaraugus Territory, just to maintain those face-to-face contacts and talk about any issues before they get too large. Last slide. And with the protocol, it kind of gives us the ongoing assessment. Sometimes the needs within your community changes, and we work with the Child Protective Services, like I'm going to say over the last 5 years. Some of the treatment needs, it used to be more alcohol, neglect-related cases were prominent, and now it's getting more towards prescription drugs and other substances that's more prominent. And as CPS recognizes that and works with us, we can help find different service providers to refer our families to. We're there to also see that NICWA is followed with the placement guidelines. We have our own Seneca Nation Child Welfare Code, which is pretty much states the same thing as the federal NICWA law. We will help find extended family members, just for the placement preference. For training, Child and Family Services has 6 staff that does the mandated reporter training to all of the different departments within the Seneca Nation of Indians, or to our local school districts, or whoever needs it. Our goal is to give one public training each quarter, and we've exceeded that because we also send out invitations to any program within the Seneca Nation or a school district that, because they're mandated reporter, that we will schedule your own personal training for your own program. And that usually happens at least twice per quarter. So we've exceeded our goals in that. With our parenting, one of our more popular curriculums now is cooperative parenting and divorce. That is often court-ordered by peacemakers as well as the county. And that kind of just helps us maintain our strong relationship within the counties. And I guess that's it. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Tracy. Let me just check and see if does anyone have any questions they would like to ask Tracy, Glenda, or Ashley. Okay. You can either.
I would like to ask Tracy a question, but I don't want to get ahead of the other audience.
Go ahead. Okay.
Tracy, how are you so successful on 98% foster homes?
As far as placement?
Yes, we have 0 right now.
That's been a work in progress, and with the last 3 years, we actually updated our Indian Child Welfare Code, where it enabled the Seneca Nation itself to issue foster care to licensed foster homes, and also enable us to pay a stipend. Majority of our foster homes are kinship. We currently have a few foster families that don't have placement. It's just continuous retention and recruitment. We have our home finder educator on each territory, and we're constantly trying to recruit respite families, foster families, just all the time.
What do y'all do as a recruitment tool? What are some of the things that you're doing?
Our home finder educators attend just about every community event that they have. They had a back-to-school bash. At the back-to-school bash, we're handing out information on how to assist your child with homework, to foster family recruitment, to parenting classes, the mandated reporter. Our local powwow, we always reserve a table, and they're recruiting foster parents to there. We have posters hung out in all the local grocery stores, and even in our medical exam rooms within our health services. We're just constantly outreaching. Any place that we go for meetings and stuff, we always just advertise for foster parents. We have an ongoing ad running in our local newspaper, while our local Seneca Nation newsletter is not really a newspaper.
Okay. So, and how are you able, you said you give the stipends. Are you able to tell us your funding source for that, or is that part of the nation's revenue, or?
That's part of the Seneca Nation's revenue. Currently, we did start to receive Title IV-B funding. We're not eligible because you can actually pay foster placements under Title IV-E, but that also requires a tribal state agreement, which we do not have. So currently, right now, we're paying out of Seneca Nation funds. But do plan on asking for more money from the Title IV-B in the future. We also receive funding from the BIA, the NICWA funds, which also enables us to pay foster homes. But currently, right now, there's just enough funding and just a little bit left over just to pay the staff, and then there's just a little bit left over for program supplies.
So you're able to pay them some kinship stipend out of the NICWA fund?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, how are you going about getting your therapeutic homes? Is that like an individual home become therapeutic, not a group home setting?
Yes, it would be individual. We are collaborating with the county for that. One thing with us in the county, we were encouraging a lot of our foster families to get certified through the county, which would make them eligible for their payment. And now that we have asked for extra monies, everything is in collaboration with the county. Like, we have the same background checks. We have the same training requirements, and we will, I've been asking the county as far as where do they send their therapeutic foster families for training, and that's where we'll be sending ours.
Okay.
To the same training. And also with our stipends, I got a sheet from the county that pretty much states how much they pay their families per child, and we're paying them the same rates. We didn't want this to be a big competition of come to the nation or come to the county. So we're paying the same rates, and we already had the verbal agreement that if the county decides to raise their rates, then the Seneca Nation will too.
Okay, okay. So you're using the state training and some of their funding is able to reach you for the therapeutic homes.
Yes.
I get it right? Okay, okay. That's the, I'm not going to monopolize. That's the end of my question.
Well, most of our, all of our, my staff, they also attend the GPS MAPP. It's the same facilitator training that the county goes to, so we're able to host the foster parent trainings ourselves.
Oh, okay, okay. All
So
right.
they are held to the same standards that non-relative foster care homes are, I would assume.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And if the relative foster families want to receive a stipend, they can go through educational training and all the background clearances and everything that they need to be issued a license. They may just, instead of going to the MAP GPS, they may go through Caring for Our Own or shared parenting. It's kind of like a educational piece, but more for kinship placements.
So let me ask you this one more, Tracy, and then hopefully I think we'll probably have to end. You mentioned about the substance abuse issue, the different type of drugs that are being used. Do you all have a collaboration with any particular treatment facility, since you know that's one of the issues that you are having? Have you, held a memorandum of understanding with anyone in particular to help you all with that?
Within the Seneca Nation of Indians, we have health departments on each territory, and there is a behavioral health unit which does mental health and substance abuse. So all of our clients are referred there. They don't have to seek treatment with the Seneca Nation of Indians. The county has a few local programs which they can go there if they use their own insurance.
Okay.
But we still have the collaboration with them as far as signing the releases and being able to check on their appointments, just to see if they're being compliant with the treatment plan and attending or not attending.
Tracy, do you find they prefer the community service health, behavior health, mental health, substance abuse, or the one that the tribe provides?
I'm going to say it's about half and half. I know just some people don't want to be seen within the waiting area of that place, and they would rather go to the county. And there are some people who just don't trust county services, or maybe transportation is an issue, so they prefer to come here. So I'm going to say it's about 50-50, and I'm glad that they have their choice.
Right. Okay. Good. Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions? Any other comments? Final announcements? All righty. Well, I want to thank you, Ashley, Linda, and Tracy, for agreeing to do the presentation today. Again, Jane Morgan came on earlier and mentioned about the capacity building technical center that will be coming up soon. Jane, you still there?
I'm still here, Sharon.
Okay. Just to you want to reiterate some of the things you just mentioned earlier today?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Just real quickly, I had said earlier that we appreciate all the work that In-Home Services has done to convene the peer-to-peer PSSF calls, and that we are moving to a new structure for providing training and technical assistance after October, and we are committed to continuing to support this group, and you'll be hearing from us. We have your listservs. We'll be sending out information. It will be a little bit while we get the new structure in place. So after October, so later in October, early November, you'll be hearing from us as we start to set up a new way for you to get together. But we continue to be committed to supporting this peer-to-peer work because we think it's really important. And I want to thank the presenters. It was really interesting, and I was glad I could be part of it today. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, again, thank you all, and I hope that we'll see one another soon, at maybe a conference or a grantee meeting or something soon. Y'all have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week.
Thank you, Sharon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The host has left the meeting, so at this time, the meeting will come to an end. Thank you, and goodbye.